So Nate taking Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 101, like he said he was going to. And then we got Darth Zader up next. I kind of like that scream. That's a pretty cool one. Sean, you want to throw that next super chat up here? So this is from Lambo Leap. Thank you for checking in again. What 2 first-round picks could I realistically get for the 101? I think that depends on what the league format is.
I mean, it also depends on how far you're willing to move down the board. I mean, the more you move down, the closer picks you'll get. Like if you're willing to move down to 107, you probably get 108, maybe even a little bit more on top of that. Yeah. But if you're only willing to move to 104, I think 112 is well within reason.
I want more than that.
Yeah, you think? To move from 101 to 104?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think the tier between J.J. McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, whoever you're picking up at the 104 quarterback-wise, to the safeness, the upside that is included with Caleb Williams, everything. He's the total package here. We like the safeness of J.J. McCarthy, but does he have the upside of a Jaden Daniels or a Drake May or Caleb Williams? We like the upside of a Jaden Daniels and a Drake May, but does he have the floor of a Caleb Williams? Caleb Williams is all of that wrapped into the package. I think if I'm trading down to the 104, I want the 107. In addition, it's not going to be easy to get me off the 101, especially in this draft where there's not a really strong quarterback 2 that makes me feel good about missing out on Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I always think, hey, don't be afraid. I've told everybody in the Discord, when you're making these offers, don't be afraid to go for the throat. At the end of the day, get an offer you're happy with, that if things don't pan out, whatever the case is, you're happy with the return, that you're going to feel good about passing up on whatever player you could have drafted.
Lad McConkey in the top 5. It wasn't even me.
Wait, wasn't Lambo Leap the one that said make him draft top 5? So this was
a plant job.
Exactly. 1000% exactly. So
I love this. Thank you very much.
And hey, look, again, the NFL and dynasty analysts everywhere saying how to build your fantasy team. In this one quarterback league, we got all wide receivers going off the board. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, Lad McConkey. Picks 1 through 4. Bob,
one more coming because
you got one more.
I'm torn between Brian
Mitchell
Thomas
incoming
and Xavier Worthy. I'm going to go Brian Thomas because while Xavier Worthy is linked to Patrick Mahomes, he's not Tyreek Hill. Doesn't have the same size profiling, and Tyreek Hill is 1 of 1. You're going to keep chasing him, and you're not going to catch him because he's really fast, but also you're not going to chase him because 1 of 1. As much as I love Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas gets to go in and profile as the one in that offense for Trevor Lawrence. I think at the end of the day, we see Xavier Worthy, however things shake out, between him and Rice, Travis Kelce, maybe Jared Wiley in a couple years, whatever the case is. I don't see him being the one. Could he be the 2 for Patrick Mahomes? As much as I love Worthy, and that would probably be pretty effective for your fantasy roster. I'll take the 1 right now and Brian Thomas and call it a day. Trevor Lawrence, pretty good quarterback himself.
Yeah. Although people are down on him for some reason. So after Brian Thomas,
the expectations.
Xavier Worthy goes, then Jonathan Brooks, Brock Bowers. So we got our first 2 non-wide receivers. Caleb Williams at the 109. And you know what? I know a lot of people, they're always very bearish on quarterbacks going in the first round in a 1 quarterback league.
Yes.
Yeah, but hey, we're all saying generational talent. 1 quarterback league, you got to start quarterbacks too. Honestly, I had Caleb Williams in my queue. If he was there at the 111, that was going to be my pick.
I find this very interesting. Brock Bowers went at the 108 in our Superflex mock. There's no quarterbacks picked before him, and then the 1 quarterback, he still goes at the 108, which means I think in Superflex,
he could easily fall
to the 112.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody has to fall. There's so much value at the end of the first round. Somebody has to fall, and it could be Bowers. You could be looking at 4 teams at the end of the round. Set at tight end. Don't want to deal with headache. If those 4 teams are championship rosters, or leading up to that, those 4 teams are competitive teams. They might already have a good tight end that he falls. And this is why knowing your league mates, knowing the teams around you in drafts, because at the end of the day, while it's so important to draft best player available and not given to the want to draft need, that's what everybody does, or a lot of people will do in your drafts, because you're not always drafting with super experienced players. There are a lot of leagues out there that are cutthroat, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, you're never going to know how your draft's going to fall.
Or hey, with a good comment here too, Bob, starting to cut you off. I'm thinking of taking Jonathan Brooks around there too, because there's so many wide receivers, agreed, but only 2 running backs whose spots I like, and I have enough picks to grab one later. Don't forget about Marshawn Lloyd too.
You better not like Trey Benson's landing spot. That better not be the one we're talking about.
3 running back landing spots we like.
Yeah, there's 3 there.
2,
yeah,
3.
For sure. Marshawn Lloyd, get in on the bandwagon.
For sure.
I am so pumped on what that could be for the future. I mean, Marshawn Lloyd's skill set really meshes with that offense in that gap scheme. So, and zone scheme, I should say. But I'm a fan of what Marshawn Lloyd is going to be for that offense.
We've been calling day 2 draft capital for Marshawn Lloyd on this podcast for a couple months now.
Mm-hmm.
He got it. We're not surprised. A lot of people out there may be surprised he went over guys like Jalen Wright, who are more loved throughout the community than Marshawn Lloyd. But we've been on Marshawn Lloyd for a while now, and we're really excited about this draft capital and the landing spot.
Yeah,
You're about to run out of time, by the way.
That's fine. You go ahead and start talking about your pick.
Well, so where was I? Where did I leave off at? I think after Caleb Williams, Trey Benson goes at the 110. I take Xavier Legette at the 111. Jaden Daniels. So we have the second quarterback going in the first round of this one quarterback league. And then Nate Marshawn Lloyd, who we were just touching on, goes at the 201. Darth Zader taking Drake May, the 2-2. So Zach, what are we thinking here? What are you leaning?
This is definitely a wide receiver pick. I mean, you still have a couple first round wide receivers available. There's also Jalen Polk.
I was considering Polk. I could have gone wide receiver 201, but I just picked up Marvin Harrison with my first round pick. I'm happy to pick up a top 3 running back.
Essentially the last good running back that you think is going to be viable relatively soon.
I think Blake Corum, personally, maybe a little bit higher than that side of the table, could be there sooner rather than later. But I still would have him as my RB4.
So are you saying I'm low on Corum or high on Corum? Because I drafted him in the last mock.
You are lower than me, higher than Zach?
Oh no, I'm higher on Corum than you. I actually like the talent of Corum.
So
I'm going to draft him here.
Zach going Keon Coleman. I think, correct me if I'm wrong without pulling up the other mock. This is quite close to Keon Coleman's ADP from the last mock. Okay, so we kind of see his consensus.
Jalen Polk went 2-4 last mock.
Yeah. Okay, so Jalen Polk going at the 204 yet again, and then Bob is up, and I feel like Lambo Leapin might have been doing some sniping on the old Bobcat.
No, he sure did. That was my pick. But hey,
well done, Lambo Leapin.
I picked Polk in the last mock. I don't want to get him in this one too, and that opens up me to drafting my boy, my guy, Ben Sinnott. Again, love the landing spot, love the talent. Been in on him for a minute. Saw the film, saw the blocking. Day 2 pick came to fruition. Goes to an opportunity too where, hey, not a lot of tight end competition there, if any. I think you're looking at Cole Turner, and I ain't scared of Cole Turner when Ben Simmons got the second round draft capital and skills at playing football.
Yeah, it hasn't quite worked out for Cole Turner.
I'm happy taking Ben Sinnott off the board here, although there is plenty of good talent on the board. You know, that's kind of a my guy pick for sure, and I wouldn't necessarily advise that with the talent on the board. But something that I think we're going to think about with this draft as it rolls on, with the quarterbacks being spread out as much as they are and the amount of good quarterbacks that there are, there's not a lot of quarterback scarcity in this draft, so be very careful about when you decide to draft a quarterback. If you can wait as long as you can to draft one, if you're in on all the top 5 guys not named Michael Penix, wait as long as you can. Don't, miss out entirely if you need one. But in a one quarterback, there's just so much a lack of scarcity, and that's why we play Super Flex. We're not league shaming here. We're trying to help out with one quarterback leagues as well. But take the value of the top positional players, the running backs, the wideouts that do exist in this draft, and take your quarterback a little later, because you're going to look at your team later. You're going to look at, let's say Jaden Daniels or Drake May at the 2-1, because that's about where they average out. And then you're going to be looking at you could be drafting JJ McCarthy at the end of or at the top of the third, end of the second. And you're going to compare the 2 quarterbacks pretty close, but you're going to be comparing those positional players, and it's going to be night and day with what you're looking at difference wise there. Unless your draft board breaks really weird, then who knows? But
also, if you're looking at quarterback and it's not Caleb Williams and you're looking at the end of the first or the early second, why not just trade for a quarterback at that point? I think you're going to get much better value, get someone that is going to contribute to your team. He's probably your backup anyway, so you don't need to take the risk of taking a Jaden Daniels or Drake May. I would just, if you're looking at quarterback at that point, I would strongly consider trading for one at that point.
Yep, I'm with you there.
But I will say this, at the back end of the second round, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Bo Nix. Yeah. Some other guys I like, but I think I could wait on them a little bit. So after Ben Sinnott going to Bob, we got Troy Franklin, Ricky Pearsall, JJ McCarthy, Jalen Wright, Jermaine Burton. That ADP is a climbing. I took Bo Nix, and then we have Blake Corum, who looks like Nate might have gotten sniped.
I was going to pick Blake Corum just so I could dunk on Bob over here.
Why? I like Corum. I've folded to the conversation. Come on.
But I can't pick my favorite day 3 running back, Ray Davis, here at this point because I think there's still some other talent on the board. You know, in the 3rd round, especially in one quarterback, I'm willing to burn this pick if I need to. So I'm considering Adonai Mitchell here, just as an upside
Sure.
pick. You know, with my 3rd round pick, why not? I also like Roman Wilson here. I think he steps right into that wide receiver 2 role for Pittsburgh, and also Ja'Tavion Sanders, still a tight end I would like at this point as well. As much as I like the upside of Adonai Mitchell, I still worry about that landing spot. I'm going to go with Roman Wilson, who has a immediate path to opportunity and production in Pittsburgh. We've seen how well they have developed wide receivers outside of the 1st round in Mike Tomlin's long tenure there. But he has had 5 or 6 receivers outside of the 1st round who have gone for over 1,000 yards. I don't know if Roman Wilson is going to be doing that, but I could see him at least, getting 600, 800 yards and being a potential flex for my team pretty early on. So not bad in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
JT Sanders right after you, by the way.
I like that pick.
Yep.
Yeah. And so Zach,
That's
you're
both those
there we go. There's the
Adonai
AD Mitchell. I guess
Value.
Yeah, I
Zach's
think
the AD Mitchell boy on the
I would have
pod, guess.
preferred any of those other 2 guys in
Yeah.
front of Adonai. So I was a little perturbed that went down because now my draft is looking a little sus, right?
It's a little risky after
I've
those
got
2
the
rounds.
high risk, high reward players.
For those of you who are
so-
aging like I am, sus means suspect.
We're
In case
suspicious.
anybody wants to know. Or suspicious, yes, however you
Don't be
want to
suspicious.
look at it. So Lambo Leapin doing his best right now to figure out how to snipe Bob. 2
Hey,
Packers
man,
fans
guess
dueling
what?
in the
There
3rd
ain't
round.
nothing I want here, so good luck to you, pal. I was even going to say with this pick, I'm like, there is just
Devontae Walker.
Bob wasn't going to take Tez
no,
Walker.
I
anyway,
wasn't.
so-
At this point in drafts, I'm willing to jettison any picks I have. There's one player I do like a good bit on the board here, probably more than anybody at this table does, and that's going to be Jalen McMillan, a guy who I think a lot of people soured on with the poor final season, playing through injury, also just missing time in general. But going to Tampa, while definitely not an opportunistic situation from day one. You got Chris Godwin, you got Mike Evans. At this point in drafts, probably, in my opinion, one of the most polished players in general across the board, pairing in day 2 draft capital. I'll take the pure prospect and, being, appropriate age. He's not, anybody who's played 6 years or anything like that or anything crazy. So I'll take Jalen McMillan and I'll take my polished route runner who may be just a little less exciting landing spot wise and,
Just so you
and
know,
age profile.
our Jalen McMillan stand chiming back in. That's Mile High Luke. McMillan outproduced
Yeah.
Bulk every time they shared the field together. McMillan is a dog. Well, hey, Bob
Don't
did say.
miss me with that.
Yeah, just so you know, Mile High Luke, anytime you watch a video, Bob's favorite compliment to a player is he has that dog in him. He also very much
Not
appreciates
analysis.
vibes. So after McMillan, we got Ray Davis, Javon Baker, Brendan Rice, who I feel like, Aquatic Bando, I've liked a lot of your picks. I feel like that might be a little too early for Brendan Rice, but you got your guy. Malachi Corley, the 309, then Michael Penix at the 310. Michael Penix, probably a guy that I'm not going to draft.
Am I even
I-
drafting
I-
him in one quarterback?
one-
I will not
one-
have
one
I will
quarterback.
not have Michael Penix on any of my rosters at any point. I just have no interest. I'm sorry.
So I'm going to go ahead and take a guy who might be the last viable starter at tight end right off the rip. 311, Theo Johnson. I said it before in the last mock. He's coming into a room, not much competition for tight end targets. So we're about to close out this 3rd round.
Well, it's getting ugly already.
Here.
It's been ugly, Zach.
Why do we do a 5 round? Why would we do 4 rounds?
I'm here for the people, Zach.
All right, so Lambo Leapin in the chat here wants to know, Bob Van, would you even take Penix in the 4th? I wouldn't. I know you didn't ask me, but Bob, would you take him in the 4th?
Process says you should, because at the end of the day, if it's a one quarterback, I'm probably still not looking. But if you're in a super flex, happen to be in it, absolutely, he should be drafted. I just am going to let somebody else do that public service for me, deal with it, because at the end of the day, I think maybe you flip him for a second at some point because the weight's going to get old. It got old with Jordan Love. Michael Penix, in my opinion, is not as good of a day 1 player. Maybe not. Okay, I'm sorry. He's a good day 1 player, but at the end of the day, I think Jordan Love's certainly more upside. Plenty of questions coming out of Utah State, but Michael Penix should have been going to a place that was starting him day 1, not when he's 28 years old, which isn't too far away, but admittedly. But
And then after my Theo Johnson pick, Will Shipley at the 312. I mean, at the end of the third round, I wasn't the biggest Will Shipley fan. Don't really love his spot. It's going to take a lot for him to get on the field there. Then Kamani Vidal. Now that personally, if you would have flipped Will Shipley and Kamani Vidal, I would have liked that a little bit better. I think Kamani Vidal, I saw a tweet today. All he has to do is try to beat out Gus Edwards and the shell of J.K. Dobbins, which isn't.
Yeah.
It's factual.
There's also Isaiah Spiller there.
Also a shell.
I mean, look, we
Not
had
great.
high hopes for Isaiah Spiller, but it just it's not like he hasn't an opportunity last year. Austin Eckler just not as good as we thought he was going to be, and Isaiah Spiller had chances. He did nothing with
They
them.
let Josh Kelly continue to beat him out, which is not a good thing. So I went Kamani Vidal. I think he's got another running back late with a path to opportunity. When you're looking at the third and fourth round for running backs, you're looking at who has the quickest path to opportunity, because either I'm drafting a running back so I can have a potential flex spot starter when I need them, or I'm looking to flip one of these guys as soon as they get an opportunity. So running backs, how quickly can they get production? Kamani Vidal does not have a very convoluted path to get to that.
Yeah, I agree. And Luke McCaffrey after that, Bucky Irving at the 4-3, which I think that's a good spot for Bucky Irving.
Yeah, I considered him at my 4-1.
Jacob Cowing at the 4-4. Bob, with less than 30 seconds left. How are we feeling?
I'm going to go Isaac Guerrero, not Isaiah Guerrero. But
That pick.
I was torn on Malik Washington here because at the end of the day, I think Malik Washington has more, not standalone upside, but probably a better floor than Guerrero. Guerrero could just be a backup and a handcuff for his entire career. I don't think anybody would be super surprised. Isaac Guerrero, one of the most athletic running backs ever charted by MathBomb, RS scores. That's where they come from. And typical 49ers pick. This was almost like one of the, put it on the board, bingo card type picks. And while, sure, back up to McCaffrey, not a lot of, competition for that role. They've talked about wanting to get somebody that can spell McCaffrey. I'm not saying you're going to be able to start Guerrero week in, week out. But, hey, maybe there's a couple weeks where McCaffrey, they want to play it safe and keep for the long run. They're going to be a competitive team. Maybe Guerrero gets in there. Maybe McCaffrey does miss significant time. Who knows? If Guerrero can't succeed in a larger role with the 49ers, we talked about in the Superflex draft, and if I need him to start, I can spot start him. Or if I want to flip him to the CMC manager who probably needs a starting running back, it's not a bad process. I immediately improve on this fourth round pick at some point, or it's a throwaway pick anyway. So
Ooh, Tyrone Tracy got off the board.
Right after Braylon Allen at the 4-6, then we got Tyrone Tracy.
Rasheen Ali, look, there's a little running back.
little running back
Here in
run,
the
we
pun
go.
intended. Pun fully intended. Braylon Allen, purely a handcuff at this point. I think, unfortunately, it is what it is. Tyrone Tracy has some upside. We've acknowledged. Rasheen
Rasheen
Ali,
going off the board as well.
That was going to be my pick, hopefully, but it's okay.
not
We pivot.
anymore.
We pivot. That'll
Get
be
your
all right.
cue ready.
There's a tight end for you somewhere.
Oh, there's definitely still some tight ends on the
Oh,
board.
there is.
Lawbe going off the board. All right.
I'm going to take him.
6 running backs go off in a row.
Yeah, and then I took Eric All
Not
for
bad.
11. So he's going to go right on the taxi squad at the
Yep,
411.
should.
Just
Yep, that's a good spot for him.
take a year and enjoy.
My next player who I'll be picking will also be going on my taxi squad. Anyone you pick up in the 5th round, you're usually looking at them as a taxi stash.
And if not, then payup.com/Dynasty Rewind. You need a roster review because if you're drafting starters here, we need to have a chat. So
Yeah.
we'll check
Guys that
out.
you're expecting to be starters or that you're slotting into starting lineups. That's the note. They could be starters someday, maybe for a bit, but should not be going into your starting lineup anytime soon. Ideally, in a perfect world. So who we looking to get out of this 5th
I have
round, boys?
2 players in my queue here at the 5.
That's how many you need?
Yep. I should be good either way. I got Jared Wiley, tight end
Ooh,
from Kansas City.
That's a good one right
Nice
now.
little
man.
taxi stash there.
And he's there.
And I have Malik Washington also in my queue, who I like to possibly get the wide receiver 3 role with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I could really go either way here, but the 6th round draft capital for Malik Washington does worry me a little bit.
Sure.
It's unfortunate. I was hoping for better than that. So I'm going to go with Jared Wiley, who got early day 3 draft capital, goes to a place where he gets to learn behind Travis Kelce. I was actually a little more impressed with his tape than I expected. So while I'm not expecting him to be the predecessor necessarily, the next guy up to Kelce and to replace
Successor.
successor, yeah.
Predecessors
That
before.
would be Kelce. I don't expect Wiley to be the next Kelsey, but even if he's half that, you would be ecstatic.
Pretty happy. Yeah, for sure. Zach, what are you hoping to get off the board so I can play my pickup more?
Well, I have a queue here of a couple players. I'm kind of hoping Spencer Rattler's still there at 5'3". I mean,
I hope he is too.
That's
for
as
you.
good of a stash as. Oh, and he's not.
Rip.
So
Me.
Spoke too soon, Zach.
why'd you have to ask me, man?
He was definitely picked before the camera uploaded
with
to
the
the
link.
internet.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I got two players here on my queue left. You talked about Malik Washington. I'm gonna go with actually a player who got a little bit better draft capital in what I
Tim
believe.
Bremen?
Yes. Go Tippy.
I'm gonna go Bub Means again in the 5th round. 16.5 yards per catch his last 2 seasons. Not the greatest offense there in Pittsburgh. So how much of that is means? How much of that is the system and the lack of consistent quarterback play at Pitt? Goes to an interesting system. I mean, look, it's not like the depth chart behind Chris Olave is like anything set in stone. So that's all I'm doing there. Is I'm throwing a quarter in a fountain and making a wish is what I'm doing there.
I was thinking about drafting Malik Washington last round. I just got him in the 5th. I'm stoked.
It's beautiful. It's a good spot.
That's the last time you ever see Bob excited about a 5th round pick.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
pumped
know. I
about
love
this
that.
pick, man. I'm all about it.
Well, we got a quarterback, another one going here. I didn't think I'd see any after Spencer Rattler, but Jordan Travis going off the board at
There was
5'6".
some hype around him on the ESPN broadcast. last
Man,
night.
there was. I
Yeah.
mean,
I like quarterbacks
know
that
why,
are good typically. So
I mean, I get. Well, and you have to keep in mind a lot of these. There's a lot of they don't want to tear people down. They want to, and sometimes it comes across as
I
like
do.
they want to look at, hey, this guy can do a lot of things, whatever it is, and sometimes that gets rubbed off as, wow, this guy's really good. They said so many nice things, but a lot of times you got to be careful. Sometimes they just don't want to be jerks, and that's
Also-
fine. I think that's a good way to
Look at who he was throwing to. I mean, he was throwing to Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, so his receivers couldn't create any separation.
Jaheim Bell.
Jaheim Bell, he also not the best at creating separation. So it's not like while he had talent around him,
Yeah,
not the most ideal talent.
Yeah.
For a college.
And every time I put someone in the queue, they just get taken right off.
stop putting them
Taj
there.
Washington.
Put more tight ends on your queue.
How about it, Taj?
I have 2 on
Washington?
there, but I'm trying to look somewhere else too.
Why,
Taj
just
Washington.
go for the 3 tight end special. It's
You know
very
what? I'm probably
trademarky.
just gonna do that at
uh,
this
Mike.
point.
signature
That's all that's here.
moment.
Oh man.
There we go.
All right. Look, I've started the hype train for Rezammer right there.
I love
You.
that for you. So once we get done with this draft, we will have a time for just a couple questions. So if you really want to support the brand, check out, help us out. Super chat, get your question answered. And if you want to get your question answered 24/7 anytime, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. Check out that Discord server. Get in for a free 7-day trial. Boys, this has been a fun mock. This has been a fun weekend.
It's been a very exhausting weekend too. I think we could all agree on that one.
Yes, we work hard. We play hard, but man, we worked hard this weekend. We put in a lot of work on this draft guide. With the Patreon side of things, that should be loaded up by now. We might just have to hit publish on it, but that is the end of this mock draft. So if you're in the Patreon already and you're looking for that, that'll be in our shop in the Patreon app or via desktop. You can get there for sure. We'll just probably have to hit publish at this point. But something else we're going to be looking to do with patrons as well, getting Goldie League started up, as well as some other Patreon leagues as well, to just really hang out with you guys that much more, get some new leagues started up. I know you guys are probably fiending patrons out there as well as everybody that wants to, that supports this brand. We want to hang out with you too. So that's the way to do it. If you want to get in leagues with us, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind, get in that Discord server, hang out with us, start up a new league sometime this week, probably not today.
Definitely not today. Today we're going to start
Travel
working
home.
on the show sheet, and update rookie rankings is our priority for right now. But we do have a super chat coming in. Mr. Cheesehead again. Thank you for the super chat. For the rookie draft, opinions on running a 24-hour clock to encourage trading or regular 5 to 10 minutes. Also, when to draft after the NFL draft. I like to draft after the NFL draft. Let us enjoy the draft or before week 1. I mean, look, when you draft is up to the league. I like to put that to a vote personally, and then that way nobody can complain to me like, hey, we all voted on it. And you know what? I don't like 5 to 10 minutes unless everybody can really pick a day to knock it out, but maybe not 24 hours. Like some people do 8 and then it pauses overnight.
The best thing you could ever do for your rookie drafts is make it a slow draft.
Yes.
Whether it's 4, 8, 10, 12, 24, no time limit depending
Unless
on your
you're in
league.
person, of course.
Unless you're in person, yeah, sure, you can probably do a little shorter timer on it. That would be a long time hanging out together. But hey, if you're like that with your friends, by all means. But one of the best things you could ever do. I was in when I first got into Dynasty, we did fast drafts more often than not. And sometimes we were together with, my home league. But the second, I was in, online leagues or whatever you want to call it, watch out laptop. We would do fast drafts. And then one year we flipped it to a slow draft. And my Lanta, the activity that picks up around draft time, it is so awesome for your league. Do a slow draft, do it after the draft. If you're going to start doing anything before drafts, I highly, highly, highly recommend being more active in the scouting process.
Yes.
Because there'll be times that, there's this hype news on this guy. Brendan Rice was somebody that was being drafted, maybe in the third round of rookie draft, maybe he's still kind of close to there, but much less of a situation than he was having. A lot of people were projecting day 2, early day 3, not a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
So that's just one example. There's plenty of other examples. Troy Franklin. There's guys
that have been drafting him in the early
there's guys that I'm sure were 4th or 5th round picks in our rookie drafts, maybe even 3rd, that went undrafted. And that's just kind of how the scouting process goes. There's a lot of players in the NFL draft. Some of them just don't make the cut for the NFL in the NFL's eyes. But get a slow draft going for your league. Vote on that 100%. Whenever you want to do it is up to you. We don't league shame. Do it in May, do it in June, July, August. Before the season is ideal.
But I will say this: if you ever do it in person, you still should put a timer on the picks.
Oh, for sure.
Because I've done slow or rookie drafts in person, and there was a time where these guys were working on a trade for so long, it's 45 minutes between picks. And it's like, hey guys, come on. So that's when we started putting timers on it, and it's like, well, what are you going to do? Then the draft moves on. Okay.
It's like when the Vikings miss their pick, hey, the next team gets to start.
The draft rolls on. We got a couple more super chats coming in. Let's get to those.
You guys.
Mr. 1-2 just throwing some money at us, saying thanks, guys. No, thank you. We appreciate you and everybody that tuned in. Lots of great comments today as well. So, Mr. 1-2, thank you. And then,
nice.
What's that? Oh, that's
also
right.
a Patreon.
Yeah, he is a patron of ours as well, a rewinder, as we call him.
Super supporter.
This is from Lambo Leap as well. 101 for Jordan Love and a 25 first.
Wow.
Yes or no?
Done deal.
Done deal for Bob.
I am probably
Zach. You just traded for Jordan Love as well. You didn't pay this price.
Do you have any idea where that 25 first is?
It doesn't matter.
To me, it does.
It doesn't matter. But what I am doing with this is I am still asking for something more in this draft, maybe a second.
$3 fab is what Zach.
No, I want something in this draft. I want a second or a third in this draft.
Yeah, because the way I see it is the gap between in a startup draft right now, the gap between Caleb and Jordan Love is
less than a round.
Yeah, so I mean, the fact that you get,
I've seen Jordan Love go in the first of startups.
Yeah, so I mean, the fact that you're getting a first on top of Jordan Love for Caleb Williams. Done deal.
Either same tier or Caleb is just
the first you're getting,
upside,
even if it ends up being 112, is not you're getting more back in return.
Here's what I do also. I don't counter this deal. I leave this deal alone and send a different deal, because sometimes asking for more might
lose this. You don't
right.
lose this.
I don't want to lose this trade offer. Sometimes countering and they'll just decline and not give you the original offer. Send a completely new offer and ask for a second or a third round pick.
Yep. And when you do that, when you leave that one trade on there, maybe you're tipping your hand a little bit because the other person knows you're interested, but also you're telling them, hey, I'm interested, but I just need that little extra, and we have this done deal. Right. And maybe they come back to you saying instead of a second, it's a third, but like you're keeping
it. Even be a move up.
You're keeping that little like tie. You know, like, hey, we're still here.
And you say what Nate said. I need something a little bit extra this draft because I'm moving off the 101. I'm moving off a generational talent. I need something this draft, and I would even accept a move up from the third to the second or something like that. It doesn't have to be an additional asset, but I do want something a little bit more now because I have to wait a year for that other asset to matriculate.
So we got Wesley wants to know Anthony Richardson for the 103 and 203 in a 10-team superflex.
Sure, if you like Anthony Richardson, I think this is fair value for Anthony Richardson, especially in a 10 team where you need studs, you need the guys that make the difference. He has that kind of upside. I'm not a huge fan of Anthony Richardson myself. I think he's a little risky. But I think the value here, I mean, you're getting JJ McCarthy if you're looking at a different quarterback.
Possibly
who
Jaden Daniels if you like him better.
I'd rather have AR than Jaden Daniels.
Me too. Yeah.
And I'd probably rather have AR than JJ McCarthy just in a vacuum.
Yeah.
So I think AR is probably the move here. Though I don't hate 103, 203 if you have another good quarterback already, and JJ is just kind of slotting into your quarterback 2 spot, or maybe even your quarterback 3 spot. But I'm also okay with making the move here.
All right, Sean, what else we got here? It's from John Paul. Said, would I be crazy for drafting Brooks over Bowers at the 108? Running back scarcity in my 14-man league is wild, and nobody ever trades running backs. I've been tipped off that the 109/110 is also targeting Brooks. I also have the 111.
Yeah. I would. Yeah. I make this move. I'm
Yeah.
down.
I do too.
And what you do with drafting Brooks at 108 is push somebody else down to a 111.
And the problem with what he's saying here, not that it's a problem, but running back scarcity in my 14-man league is wild. Nobody ever trades running backs. That just drives the value of them up.
Yep.
So whenever you do want to move off of
Yeah,
somebody,
have
you
an
know you can get more.
opportunity in your draft to, we've touched on this in the past too, that, with in Superflex, one quarterback or quarterback set's probably the cheapest you're ever going to be able to draft them a lot of times, unless they fall off a cliff, which is very possible. But running back, same thing. It's rare that you'll get a running back cheap until the wheels are about to fall off, or in there really bad situations before the breakout kind of a thing. So I don't hate this move.
You take Brooks, and then at the 111, if Bowers isn't there, which I think there's a decent chance he is, if Bowers isn't there, you can use the 111 to still fix your tight end position with someone who's not on the board.
Yeah, 100%.
You can trade the 111 for a good tight end. So if you really need a tight end, you can still go Brooks. You can still figure it out with the 111 by either drafting Bowers or trading.
Go after Trey McBride. People might think Tippy Ryman's coming for him, but Tippy Ryman is a blocking tight end.
He is most certainly.
He was an incredible blocker. When you see these guys at the combine and they just shove this Fred the Sled around places, that's just one of the funnest drills they have at the combine.
What about some other tight ends other than Trey McBride?
I think that
might be a little bit of a reach.
I think you might need to pay up more than the 111, but hey, there are going to be people out there that think.
But you can easily get.
Try to get Evan Ingram plus.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I'd be about that.
Yep.
Depending on where your
Ferguson.
team's at, if your team is not uber competitive or maybe a little older elsewhere, maybe Evan Ingram isn't that.
I'm judging based off his 2 picks. 108 or 111, one of those are potentially his. So middle of the league. Or
I believe if this is the team I'm thinking about, I believe we've done a roster review for this team, and I want to say that this team
looks familiar.
Has been a rebuilding team. So I could be wrong. I know, John Paul, you've been in the comments before as well. So I think that's the case. I think it's ascending. I think it's heading the right direction. But so Evan Ingram might be the move. I think that you definitely get a Evan Ingram plus on that. But maybe looking at those younger tight ends, who knows? Not the super young ones, but.
Okay, we're going to be heading out of here soon, but Sean, why don't you bring another one up for us? This is from Ken, rebuilding with the 102 in a 16-team superflex. This is half-point PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 superflex spots, and 3 wide receivers. So he could start up to 3 quarterbacks here. He has Kyler and Drake London.
What are we?
Pick Marvin Harrison Jr. or Jaden Daniels.
Marvin.
Can you trade down?
Yeah, I still want Marvin Harrison Jr. personally.
Man,
but I probably do want to trade down and just have
back
more
in this league is gold.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if you can trade back just a couple spots, keep yourself in quarterback range. You can keep yourself in the top 5.
Can you trade the 102 for Jordan Love?
Can you trade the 102 for the 105 and a couple extra picks along the way? Just to help give yourself some depth in a 16-teamer.
Yeah.
With the 2 superflex slots, yes, it'd be awesome to start 3 quarterbacks, but man, and with that being the case, you charge a heck of a premium for moving up to a spot where you can even draft a quarterback.
Sean, you want to give us one more before we head out? This is from Trillist1, 10-team superflex PPR and PPC, point per completion. I'm assuming. Point per carry, yes. Start 10, but only have to start 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, and 5 flex spots. Running backs are dominant. Would you trade Jahmyr Gibbs for the 107, 202, 204, and an early 25 second all in this season? He said he's all in. He finished second.
No.
Yeah, if running backs are dominant.
Not in this draft. Because you can't I don't
You
feel good
can't
about
recoup the
replacing.
value. You can't recoup your running back.
No.
You're moving too far the other direction. If you were competitive, unless you're willing to just say, "Hey, I'm going to reestablish," because that's what that move is.
Yep.
That is a great pivot move, but not one for if you're trying to stay competitive and try to win a championship again or get into the championship, whatever. That's not the move to do it because, like you said, you're not going to recoup a running back with those picks unless I don't want to put this unless because I don't want to make a trade without making this trade because I don't know that trade is going to make sense. So if I can't make that trade, the second trade, then this first one doesn't make sense. Don't do that. So I think it's stay put, find other ways to get some value because that ain't it. Yeah, I don't have a better solution.
Yeah.
Personally.
All right. Guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. 2 mocks, 3 days of drafting until the NFL switches it to a 7-day draft, 1 day per round, and then they'll add another couple rounds and
Yeah,
4
I'm
games
in.
to the regular season. So I could see it happening.
Also,
so
football Monday through Friday.
I think that's what they want to do.
Tuesday night football.
Oh, I've talked about it on my podcast. That's absolutely coming. They're doing Wednesday football now before
Hate it.
Christmas. They're doing Black Friday football.
Give me my Christmas back.
Football
Yes.
every day is
Yeah.
coming.
No,
It
and-
is coming slowly
know-
but surely.
You know what? And I don't like it. They're always talking about player safety. The players
It's not
want
true.
they want consistency.
There's no such thing.
They talk about it, but they don't care about it.
There's
What
no
they
such
care
thing.
about
It's
is
a conversation
this.
for a different day, guys.
Yes.
No
Let's
such
get out of here.
That being said, we're going to head out. Hey, don't forget to pick up your copy of our 2024 Rookie Draft Guide. Link is down below. Yes, Bob.
I just wanted to ask how you did it. So link is down below. That's one way to do it. Also, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. The goalies will get free access to that included with their membership as soon as we hit the publish button on the thing. We were waiting for the upload to happen. As we were setting up for this live, that's why we're a little late again. Part 2, we were planning to go live at 10 Eastern. Ended up going at 10:30. Ended up going at 10:35ish. Apologies again, but hey, we were putting a ton of work into this. We stayed up till 2:30 some in the morning. Got
Nate
up
and I
again at
did not stay
6:30.
until 2:30.
Wait, almost.
I mean, we were putting in the work on this thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys check it out. Hope you guys check out the Patreon as well. It's a great time to check it out. If you ever thought about it, now is an awesome time to check it out. You get the guide as well. You just see what else we got going on. You got the rankings, you got the priority chat Discord, you have the entire Discord, the most active Discord community. Ton of fun in there.
And we know
love
your
hanging out
name.
with you guys. And we know your name.
But listen, we understand that not everybody's, as good financially. There are ways to support us for free. You can like this channel. You can share any of our content on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it's called. You can download our podcast for free. If you do that, listen to it on Spotify. That helps us as well. So there's plenty of ways to support us without spending a dime. That being said, we appreciate all of you. So until next live stream, Zach, I don't know when that's going to be. For Zach, for Bob, for Nate, I'm your host, Michael Bauer. We'll see you next time, everybody.